It has to go out to all the months you are again, so it gives you ample time. Yes, ma'am, there is not.
How are you?
There is not.
Good, thank you.
There is no rules trying to do this, especially with us.
Rose? But,
You've got to eat an adequate size. They can be
We'll confirm.
Yeah, but your time's almost up.
oh, yes.
Sit down. Oh my goodness.
That's what she gets paid to do. You know what I mean?
I really, really I have no idea, of course. No way.
I left my cell phone.
I forgot.
All right, we're convening the planning and zoning meeting here. We do a quorum. Alan's the only one out here. Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes? Does anybody want some more time to read the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Can I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Additions and deletions for the agenda. So the addition was the PUD ordinance creation discussion.
I have another additions. So one addition, I would like to update the public hearing procedure and have the bring it to city council to approve.
Say that again.
Yeah.
So I would like to update the public hearing procedure, and I'd like us to recommend that for the city council to approve. And when we get to that point, I can go into it further.
We can have that discussion.
Yeah. I think it's an ordinance.
And then I have one more.
I thought you said one.
And then I would also like to add that the P&Z Commission Education.
I thought that was going to be in the process here sometime, right?
Yeah, but we could talk about that further then.
Okay. Reports. Planning and zoning administrator.
I don't really have a whole lot. Most of my time has been spent on some projects, including the conditional use permit application and variance application. There has been a lot of research and things like that being done. There's going to be some updating of some ordinances, probably certain things. Processing fence permits still, sign permits, things like that. I don't have the number update on the short and long-term rentals. They were going to get that to me, but it's stagnant lately. So it hasn't moved up or down, so we don't have really any different changing with that. What is everything else? I can kind of update it and go through old business.
Okay, thank you. How's it, KD?
It was a shorter meeting this time, But one thing that was on it that we've talked about before is the old Wilderness Outfitter building. Is people are in the process of making that into a brewery, so at some point there might be something that comes forth that P&Z will have to approve, but at this time there's nothing. And there were not really any other updates that were applicable to planning and zoning.
Okay, thank you. Councilor update.
Okay, our request to appear was for Rika Musgrave, and she would like to adopt codes of ethics, standards of conduct, conflict of interest, open meeting policy. On the committee reports, we had the Heritage Preservation Commission, a recommendation to request that the City Council authorize assurance of the RFP, Heritage Preservation Commission Video Oral Histories Project for vendors to provide videographic services. Then we went on to the Utility Commission, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 recommendations. And employee relations, there was to hire recommendation Scott Cope, I hope I don't mispronounce this, Copen,
Too late.
too late,
You had to have the Pokendorfer.
Korkendorfer, and Janet Dunham to be trained to fill in for the police department administration assistance. Pretty much we had our Ely community resource quarterly progress report communications. We have the Ely Bloomington Community Hospital notice of annual meeting members. Then we paid the bills. That's it.
Thank you. All right, new business. Rezoning West Sheridan Place / lumberyard, greenhouse, art corner, ball face construction, old depot building. Scott, why don't
Sorry,
you
this
get up to
is-
speed on this?
Yeah, sorry, this is in the back of the packet. So like everything else, we're trying to do one thing, it led to another. And so part of what I've been doing is trying to, Dave has been doing a good job of trying to update the zoning map. And so I'm trying to continue that. We have some discrepancies on there that either weren't recorded or improperly recorded. So it was found, as you can see, the attached ordinance from 2022. This actually relates to Commissioner Caruso's property, as well as the Dollar General. There was a piece of property, let's see, Lot 1, Lot 1 and 2 were rezoned to commercial zoning, but lot number 3 was mistakenly left out. It was out of Dave. It was kind of a oversight of the P&Z administrator at the time that lot 3 wasn't included. So that needs to be changed. And then, Commissioner Caruso, you can correct me, but I think yours is all lot 0 or all lot.
Yeah, so for those of you who were here, if you remember when David did this, we discussed it because of the industrial part. We were gonna change that, but I think somehow, I'm not sure how we missed it. We were gonna do the whole Camp Street corridor and clean all that up because it's all commercial, it's all businesses down there. So just a formality, I would think at this point, there was nothing, even our building got missed and that was part of it. So, yeah, does not have to be initiated by a citizen, but it came about because of some construction that's going on right now. Is this the...
So I can say the properties that basically need to be rezoned and are still, the records from that time period aren't the greatest, of course. Still working with our city attorney's office to confirm whether or not these were ever rezoned to commercial. The properties in question, like you said, they're the art studio, custom theaters, the building right at the corner of Sheridan and North Third Avenue, and then all phase construction, their whole property. And there was actually some mapping issues with that, so like the map showed half of their properties in the street, and then anybody remembers the old bicycle shop building, like that was considered a separate, they had that as a separate, and then there was a small sliver in the northeast corner of the property that was labeled state of Minnesota. So the county GIS fixed all that, so they got that all in one spot. So that all phase construction property, and then all of Gracie's, the next, so you're looking at the next spot over, would be that Gracie's greenhouse area, which.
That's the feed store.
Where the feed
Gracie's
store-
is that, yeah, is on Sheridan Street.
Yep, okay, so Gracie's, and
Yep.
then you've got
Flower
the feed
shop.
store and all that stuff. And all the Starkman property there. And then moving over, you've got the lumberyard property. That all needs to be rezoned. And then we talked about the old Wilderness Outfitters, the old depot. In order for anything to go in there as far as retail or commercial or restaurant, it has to be rezoned to commercial as well. So, and that, it flows with the area. It's basically being conducted as commercial zoning, which just was never zoned. Again, I'm still trying to determine way back when if it was changed, and we just never got record of it. And again, back in the day, the records were never, aren't always easy to find. And the old depot property is kind of hard sometimes to determine.
So the old depot you're referring to, that used to be.
The train depot.
Yeah, so that's on, I don't know,
And
it's
this
one of
is
the
it.
pages here, I've got it outlined. And Blue Stick sold, even though it doesn't show up on Line Explorer yet, the property that parallels these pine trees right here, that parallels the road, Miners, that was actually sold as part of this. So basically, this outline that I did on the map here is the outline of what the current owners own. There's also potential talks in the future because there are parking requirements that are going to be had for this property. There might be some land acquisition from the city, depending. So that orange area would have to be the one that's zoned commercial. Blue Stick still own that other garage that's there, so that would have to stay industrial, and they still use that as part of concrete service and things like that, to service trucks and that type of stuff.
Could you explain what they're zoned currently?
Yeah, manufactured. It's all manufactured industrial
And you-
zoning.
And your recommendation is that we would zone it commercial?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm still, like I said, I'm still waiting to confirm if it was ever changed to commercial zoning. But all phase, at one point was part of Commissioner Cruz's property, which was a lumber yard, back in the day.
Okay.
Yes.
Emily, this was part of something we were working on before you guys got on. Part of this whole thing about reining in all the commercial, separating it from residential to avoid a lot of issues. And at one point, when the county divided each section so they could be sold separately, is when we came about and say, shouldn't be manufacturing, we don't have any in the city, should all be C1. It got approached, somehow it got missed. There was not a house on that, on the north side. It's all businesses. So the business has been operating there for 100 years under manufacturing instead of commercial. So, does that answer that?
We've been going through this ever since I've been on the commission, trying to sort out
Yeah.
the patchwork of zoning that was done in the past and try to have some consistency and some logic to what the zones are. So this is just one more step.
So is vape and propane tanks, are those part of the city limits?
Yes, yeah. So this part that you see the line right there, this is all Morris Township. They never got annexed in, even though this 16 acres across the way did. And this was all part of the Lucky Boy annexation. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, when it goes all the way up here, all the way to the back of it. That's how that worked out. Yeah, that's why that did not get annexed in, but now we did.
So,
If we need a recommendation, I'd like to make a motion that we proceed forward with that and start looking into it, figure out exactly what we need. If nothing has been done, that we move forward to change that and get everything into compliance.
Yeah, we have to hold a public hearing.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Recommendation to council, so.
Can I get a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. Would you repeat your motion, please?
To go forward with making sure that it's not been registered commercial, make sure nothing was missed, and if so, it has not, to proceed with rezoning it to commercial, to C1.
So we're directing Scott to do some more research, basically.
That's correct,
And bring-
which he's already doing.
which
Yeah,
is-
yeah.
And then bring it to us so that we can make a recommendation to the city council.
That's correct.
All right.
To change them over to C1, yeah.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Thank you.
This will work towards, keeping residential and commercial separate.
I think we'll put Emily's two additions in new business ahead of item B.
Okay.
B,
B,
C, and D?
Well, there's, B is in red there, right?
Yeah, so it would be C and D.
B, C, and D, and this would, B would turn to D.
Do I have the floor?
Okay, P.
All right, Emily, which one do you want to start with?
I'll start with, the, recommendation to update the public hearing procedure.
Okay.
So a little background on this, I think that with the last few, board of adjustment meetings that we've had, there's been a lot of confusion about what's transpired, what could transpire during the meeting. And so I think it would be very beneficial to, at the beginning of the meeting, to do a quick update on how we got to this point, so that someone brought forth, like a variance or an application, and, what diligence was done, and that, what could happen that night, like we could vote on it, what happened with that, or not. So, I move that the PNC administrator update the public hearing procedure for CUPs, variances, IUP, rezoning requests, and other public hearings to include, near the beginning of the meeting, the education regarding the process from submitting the variance, CUP, etc. application to what might transpire in the public hearing with the purpose of providing education to the public regarding P&Z procedures.
Can I support that, just so that we can open it up for discussion, please?
Yes.
I'll support that.
Thank you.
So could we, in a nutshell, say that all public meetings should have just a tidbit in the front explaining the process prior to doing finding in facts or hearing? That's what I'm hearing you say, right?
Essentially, yeah, but there is currently a public hearing procedure, and really
Yeah.
most of what I said was just the title of this document. And so if we just make it like an agenda item on this public hearing procedure sheet, then we can move forward with that. So essentially, that's what it would say. So,
Or just attach it to every public hearing?
maybe it could happen.
Well,
That's not what I was recommending, but.
Why can't that just be part of the,
I think it's a great idea. I'm just trying to,
why can't that be part of something that's posted on the city website on how meetings are conducted?
It could, but I think it'd be beneficial before every meeting to explain to the people here, just so we're transparent with what's happening and what has already happened. I think it'd be important to do.
So you want to do that? You take that responsibility?
Yes?
I'd recommend like that.
yeah, I mean, I think it can be reined in, but yeah, I think it's a great idea to be able to say, this is how the meeting's conducted, this is how we do this, this is how the process works. And then, start obviously with the most important, right down the line, whatever we have. I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
What, are you surprised?
I know.
This would be for every committee and every commission?
No, it would be for updating this document, so wherever this document is used,
Public hearings, yeah.
public hearings, it would be used for the public hearings. So it wouldn't apply to our normal P and Z meetings, it would just apply to the public hearings.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying you should just say public hearings instead of, CUPs or whatever, just public hearings.
I was just reading the
All
title
of them,
of the
yeah.
document.
So, you want to create that document that can be read off at every meeting then?
Yeah,
Okay. You want to amend your motion to say that you volunteered to create that document?
good, yeah. I'll amend the motion that Emily will create the agenda, like a line item that talks about what we should talk about.
Excellent.
I'll amend my second, and every one of them's gonna have to be different for every meeting.
Right, so I'm,
Okay, so maybe we
So
work
within
on
it-
this, get a team together, let's figure it out, say, this is our process for public hearing, for CUPs, this one is for, variances, and so on. Make sense? So we don't spew the same stuff every time.
right, it has to be separate for each. CUP,
That's correct, yeah, because
variance,
every one of them is different, yep. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'll amend my motion to reflect that, my second, excuse me.
Okay, discussion? Before you vote?
Further discussion?
I like the idea, I really do. I think the important part of it is really so that the people that do show up for a public hearing are given the time and the explanation of what we're doing, so that we don't just open a meeting quick and close it quick and not tell them what's going on. I think we need to be more transparent about how things work with our commission and make them understand. Like in the case of this last one, to say, look, the city of Ely is also now asking for additional information. We don't have that yet from the applicant, so we're going to postpone tonight's hearing and give them time to provide that to the city. Then when we get it, we'll look at it and call another public hearing. So they will understand the process better. But I think there's some feeling like we're trying to, someone even made a comment tonight about, you're going to keep meeting until nobody comes anymore, and then you're going to make the decision. And that's really not at all the feeling that most people in the P&Z are, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah, I explained that to someone, if I may add.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think we take it for granted, we do this all the time, especially some of us who've been doing it for a long time. We know exactly what's going on. We do it, and we forget that there is plenty of people that we need some layman terms to say, this is exactly what we're doing, this is how we're gonna do it.
Can you also say in your preamble to the meetings that this is serious business and there will be no clapping and cheering allowed?
You want me to edit
Well,
that?
I've already had those discussions with the mayor about that, and that's something that I was gonna not have happen anymore in meetings. I allowed it to happen last time, but I shouldn't have,
I think
and I
that's
won't
what
allow it anymore.
the chairs, yeah, prerogative.
So-
I probably won't update my motion to include that, if someone wants to add that as a separate
Oh,
thing. 'Cause
I-
I think that's different than education, and my purpose is to make sure that we're educating the public on what our proceedings are.
And the chair always has that prerogative to make that statement and say what he will or will not accept. Still the judge.
Excellent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good job, everyone.
All right. My next one, the background is that I think, we've already talked about this, that we would like some more education from Kelly Bloom, but I would like to make it a formal motion that we get, the P&Z has education regarding normal meeting procedures, especially with onboarding. So I move that the P&Z administrator organize education for the P&Z commission regarding the meeting procedures and report a date at the next P&Z meeting.
Kim you were doing that. You were onboarding people when you were
Yeah.
administrator, informal planning. So Scott can still do that. This is to bring on new members. This is
And
for
I would
bringing
like-
on new members.
yeah.
I mean, we're gonna get some coaching from our attorney because things have gotten very litigious around here.
Well, that's what I mean. So I think this is really to make sure that like we actually get that education from our attorney. So I just want to make a formal motion that says that we are doing this education, we will know a date of the education, and whether that date comes after the next person is voted on, and because we think that that's the best way, that's okay, but I would like there to be a date scheduled.
Any other discussion?
She's only got the motion up, she doesn't have a second yet.
A second.
Yeah. So now we can open up for discussion. I have.
Yes.
So I agree, not disagreeing. I think first and foremost, especially for the new members, learn Robert's rules. There is a lot of good stuff in there that tells you when you can, adjourn or, the process, how to carry a meeting, which the city has adopted. So if the city has adopted, we follow it to the T. There's a lot of good information in there. And on top of that, I think what you mean is some of these policies and CUPs and legal stuff is what you're talking, right?
All of it, so like
Yeah.
a brief overview of what Robert's rules is, and an
Oh, it's not a brief overview, yeah, Robert's rules need to be studied.
It's a book.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the ones.
So you've read the book?
No.
Okay, now I know why you're asking for this.
Anyway, so I think it would be very beneficial to have an education, especially on onboarding, but now that like I came on the committee and was not,
Asked that to give them PG commissioners.
yes, this could be given to the P&Z commissioners. Yeah, so when I was onboarded, there was no, I wasn't onboarded, I started showing up to meetings. And
There was
so-
no welcome packet.
Right.
No, this is what you do, these are
Right.
your responsibilities. these
Or
are-
like an understanding, and like luckily I knew what a CUP was, but not everyone who come on necessarily would. So I think that it's important to have that education. And then I think we all need maybe a refresher.
So read the ordinances from front to back.
Sure. No, that's not what I meant. Well, I think that is important. But the ordinance also should be given to the new members in a packet. Like I wasn't given a booklet of ordinances, I had to go look them up myself.
They are available on the website, right? So you
Yes.
don't need to kill a bunch of trees for that, right? I mean,
But
Tim carries around that, you want that book right there duplicated, is what you're saying.
essentially.
You can have copies of it if you like.
No problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, if we're still in discussion.
We still are.
I think that would be a little overdoing it. I mean, Tim was a planning and zoning administrator, he has that. But I believe if you get information before meeting for that zoning and pull that one up and get familiar with that, because you're not gonna study that book, retain all of it, you're still gonna have to refresh yourself on each ordinance that comes up. So you're welcome to it, but I think if we know there's something coming out for that ordinance, that's the zoning and ordinance you pull out, and you study that one at that point. They're all on the website, so that's how I do it.
If I could add one more thing, I think we might be getting a little off topic. I just really want to schedule a meeting where we go over a refresher of different things that happened within
With whom?
Kelly.
That was it.
So we can make a recommendation to the city that
Okay.
Angela can bring up.
This is what my motion said. So it said, I move that the P&Z administrator organize education for the P&Z commission regarding meeting procedures and report a date at the next P&Z meeting.
Where did Kelly Clune come in for that motion?
It doesn't say
Add it
that.
later.
So regarding meeting procedures, so whether, it could be somebody else, but we've already talked that Kelly's gonna do that. So I think it's almost,
So you're asking the council, the recommendation to work with Kelly? Or
I'm
have
asking Scott to organize education regarding meeting procedures and report a date at the next P&Z meeting.
To me, that's what we need is, because when you come in like the rules of order, I hadn't seen them since the 70s, and I can't remember all that stuff, and just a refresher course on what is expected and what we can do and what we can't do, and a better understanding of how to proceed,
I think this should be done for the whole commission, and then each time a new commissioner comes on board.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it, that way the new person gets brought up to date and everybody else gets refreshed.
Or at
Okay.
least a packet, some sort of guidelines that this is where you find the ordinances, this is where you do this. tiers of Robert's rules.
Exactly.
So I don't think this should be a speech by Scott at every meeting, but Scott could prepare a packet for people to read.
Sure, this was just a one-time education course where we could get a date, where I just want to hear what the date is going to be at the next PNC meeting.
So, again, if I may, not to change your motion, but I think it should reflect to say that we make a recommendation to the council to allow Kelly to attend, so that, because I think most of it is going to be